The Louisiana football running back room is cut in half due to the transfer portal. We'll talk about it here on Ragin Rundown. What's good, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome into yet another episode here on Ragin Rundown. I'm your guy, Jamarcus Fitzpatrick, but you can always call me Fitz. If this is your first time watching our channel, please hit the bell down below and subscribe to the YouTube channel so you know when we're dropping an episode. If you're listening on podcast apps, please subscribe wherever you get your favorite podcast from, so you will know whenever we're dropping episodes. And in today's episode, we will be talking about the latest with the Louisiana Ragin Cajuns football team, who have now lost 3 running backs due to the transfer portal. We'll talk about the timing of it, why some of these guys decided to move forward, and then what's next for the program in terms of what they should do to rebuild this room as they've lost 3 guys. So the transfer portal doesn't officially open until January 2nd, and depending on when you're listening or watching this episode, it may or may not already be open. But athletes with the representations that they have the opportunity to announce early that they have the intentions of entering the transfer portal, which is simply telling schools that are out there, hey, if you're looking for this said position, I'm available. Please call my representation. And so within the last couple of weeks, Louisiana has seen 3 guys hit the portal from their running back room. They've seen 6 as a whole, but 3 of them have come from the running back room. On December 21st, Bill Davis and Zylan Perry both decided to enter the transfer portal. They were a huge 1-2 tandem to this offense. They were about 60% of your entire rushing attack that you had as a whole in just these 2 backs alone. And they were a great combination of what you had, and they were a huge part of what happened as you were able to rattle off those 4 victories to qualify for bowl contention at 6-6 on the season. And then just one day after Christmas, St. Thomas More product, Hutch Swilley, announced his intentions to enter the portal as well. Each of these guys have different reasons, but some of them are closely, geared around some of the same things, as I've spoken with, people close to these guys, and just try to get and figure out where their headspace is. Talking about Bill and Zylan, when you look at the landscape of college football and with the space of NIL and exposure and all of these different things like that, both of these young men felt like this was their opportunity to take a risk. Obviously over the past few years, you've seen a lot of Ragin Cajun players leave the program and go to Power Fours. And, there's always been this narrative that you leave from here, you go somewhere else, and the grass is not always greener, and you don't do better when you go there. But these guys only have so many years to play football. And with the way that they felt, they believed that they had the opportunity to go to greener pastures and maybe receive more money in the NIL space and also more exposure. And what I mean by that is Terrence Carter was on the Cajuns roster that went to the Sun Belt Championship a year ago. He transfers and goes to Texas Tech, and now he is playing almost every Saturday on national television, and they are now playing in the college football playoffs. A couple of years ago, Draylen Washington actually hit the portal last year. He transfers. He goes to Alabama. He's on national television almost every week, and he goes to the college football playoff as well. Now, obviously, Draylen's situation is different than Terrence. Terrence has, made a name for himself as a very good tight end, one of the best there in the entire country. Draylen has been in more of a reserve role with the Alabama Crimson Tide, but it's just the opportunity to potentially get that exposure and to make a play on national television and be able to be seen by the entire world, which is not necessarily a knock to the program as a whole. But when you win more games, typically you're put in bigger spotlights. And as of late, you haven't been able to do that in these last couple of seasons. Obviously, you had a great season in 2024, making it to the Sun Belt Championship game, getting 10 wins. But ultimately, the other 3 seasons around that have around that season have been 6 and 7 years, and you haven't won a bowl game since 2021. Um, so those are things in mind with these guys. And then obviously the NIL component, again, these guys only get a chance to play football for so much time. And so being able to have that opportunity to maybe make a little bit more, these guys aren't making life changing money in a lot of instances, but it may be situational changing money. It may be an opportunity to send money back home to mom, to dad, and all those different things like that to be able to change their situations right now. And I know people will say that the grass is not greener everywhere that you go. It's not going to always be the same. We loved you here and you shouldn't leave, and all of those things are true, and I'm not invalidating any feeling that a person might have, but I say that these young men have an opportunity to make a choice. They have an opportunity to see what is out there, and they have made those decisions. And also, um, in the last few years, you've had uh, pretty good running back rooms with guys coming out, but you haven't had a guy to be drafted in the running back room from the Louisiana since Elijah Mitchell and Raymond Calais. And so if you're looking at things as a recruit or as a young back that's in the room and you have aspirations to make it to the NFL, and you see that the past few years, the program or whatever has not been given that opportunity to be seen as often, you may feel that maybe I need to go somewhere else to try to give myself a chance to maybe sniff the league a little bit higher. Maybe I would have only been a seventh round pick or whatever it may be if I would have stayed here. Let me try to go somewhere else. And that is what I believe is some of the case as well for these young men. And then on the other hand, like I said, Hutch Swilley moves on, and I think for him, it was more about looking at what the depth chart looked like, right? Bill and Zylan were your 1-2 guys. They were going to be coming back before they announced that they were entering the portal. And then after that, you had Stephen Blanco. After that, you had Darrell Smith. And then it was Hutch. Hutch was a former All-State running back at St. Thomas More. He originally was committed to Navy. He had offers from Ivy League schools, but once he received an offer from UL in February, he decided to decommit from Navy and commit to his hometown team. And in the 2 seasons that he was here, obviously the first year was his redshirt year, but in the 2 seasons that he was here, he wasn't able to log a carry. So when you look at things of, okay, Bill and Zylan are moving on, here's what's left on the roster. Stephen Blanco was the next guy up that had about 30 carries on the season. Okay, am I going to be the second guy in the pecking order, or am I going to be the third or the fourth guy? And maybe those conversations pointed to him not being as high up as what he would want it to be. Maybe he wanted to be more of a featured back. And so he decided, let me put my name into the transfer portal and potentially go somewhere where I can be more of a featured back in the offense. And again, I understand that people may be upset by that, but this is a decision that these young men have made, and that they felt like they wanted to utilize. Why did something like this happen? I think it points also to the style of offense that UL utilizes and how they use running backs in their offense, and just the overall landscape of college football. You're not seeing a ton of guys be bell cows. You have like a Jeremiah Love or, an Ahmad Hardy and things of that nature. But a lot of teams are feeling like, hey, maybe we can complement guys with a 1-2 punch here and there. You have other teams that have bell cow backs. And so UL has historically been, even going back to the Billy Napier days, used three backs, rotating guys back and forth. And so if it's a game and, there are 60 to 70 plays in there, and UL has always kind of been a more run heavy type of team. So say out of those 60 plays, you have 40 carries and you have three backs. You're talking about maybe 10 to 12 carries. So now every time you touch the football, you're trying to hit a splash play. And the run game, it's not always going to be that way. Sometimes you only get a 3-yard carry. Sometimes you get a 5-yard carry. Then you might pop off a 25-yard carry. And so it may be a little bit harder to get into a rhythm or flow because of that, because of the rotation and how things are going. So because of that, again, that is something that in line. Some guys might feel like, well, maybe I don't want to be a part of that anymore. Maybe I want to be a guy that if we run the ball, 30 times in a game, I want to be getting 25 of them, and the other person behind me gets 5, or I want to get 20 and they get 10. Again, that is to their discretion. That's their prerogative. That's what they feel like they want to do. Um, and that's a lot of what the Cajuns were in 2025. They were 60% run, 40% pass, especially because the passing game didn't really catch on until a little bit later in the season. You weren't as good in the throw game as what you were, whether that be for dropping passes or just inaccuracies from your quarterbacks. Whatever it might be, you weren't good in the throw game early on in the season. So you leaned more towards the run early on anyway. And then as you got later into the year, you dealt with a lot of injuries from your offensive line. So now you have to lean more into the run game because you don't want to be putting these younger guys on an island where they feel like they have to pass block all the time. So you can create better running lanes and make it a lot easier for them to pass block through the play action game. So those are just a lot of things and things to consider throughout this process. So those 3 guys are in the portal now. That is Zylan Perry, Bill Davis, and Hutch Swilley. So I'm going to take a minute to step away for just a second. But when I come back, we'll talk about what's next, who's left on the roster, and also who I believe the Cajuns should be targeting in the transfer portal once it opens on January 2nd, right here on Ragin Rundown. So like I mentioned, Louisiana football has 3 running backs in the transfer portal. 2 of them were a 1-2 punch for you in Zylan Perry and Bill Davis. And then Hutch Swilley, a former All-State running back from St. Thomas More, has decided to leave the program as well. So what is left on the roster and what will you have coming in? Stephen Blanco, a St. Martinville product, a local kid, had 30 carries this season with 2 touchdowns to go along with that for 156 yards. So he made the best of the moments that he had in a redshirt freshman season. And then after that, you have J.J. Gardner and Darrell Smith, both guys who had very limited moments throughout the year because this was a redshirt season for them. So they had limited appearances so they would not burn their redshirt. And then coming in from your signing class, the 21 player signing class that you had from the early signing period is Ryan Smith out of Holy Cross in the New Orleans area. And he was a young man that had a really good senior year, rushing for 1,400 yards and 21 touchdowns there in New Orleans. Just fumbling twice in his entire high school career, 3,200 yards rushing, 47 touchdowns during those 4 seasons. A 3-star prospect, the 30th ranked product in the state of Louisiana, according to 24/7 Sports. So you have some great talent there in the mix, but you don't have a ton of experience. And coming back for next season on the offensive line, you're going to get George Jackson back, who's going to get a medical red shirt. You're going to get Cooper Fordham coming back. You're going to get Caden Morrow coming back on the offensive line. And my mind's slipping of what you'll have at the other guard position. But you'll have more experienced guys coming back into the lineup in the mix. Jacoby Isom is a name that comes up into mind. And also Matthew Broussard could be at the other guard as well. So you'll have experience and maybe a little more depth at the offensive line position, but you may not have as much of that experience in the running back room. And so because of that, I believe Louisiana should target at least one running back in the transfer portal when the window opens on January 2nd, just to give a little bit of experience and leadership to that running back room, along with some guys that can complement them as well. You have 2 redshirt freshman running back that will be coming back. Stephen Blanco will be a redshirt sophomore. Ryan Smith will be a true freshman when he enters. This may be a redshirt year for him. You bring in a transfer portal guy to kind of lead the way or compete for the starting job, and then you have some form of a rotation in your running back room. 2 guys that I believe Louisiana should target. This is not anything that I know about in information. This is truly based on just me looking at who's in the portal right now and what they could potentially bring to the table. The first name is Julius Pope, who is the number 1 JUCO running back in the country, according to 24/7 Sports. 6 foot, 195 pounder, originally committed to Arkansas in 2024. In his redshirt year, he did not play. He only appeared in 4 games to be able to redshirt. He entered the transfer portal and then went the JUCO route, going to Northwest Mississippi Community College. And in his one season there, he rushed for 700 yards in that one season. The only offer that he has on the table right now is from Troy, from what 24/7 Sports is saying. So I think, and he's from Mississippi, which is his hometown of I forget where it was, of where he is originally from, but it's about 5 hours from Lafayette. So if you're talking about proximity, if you're talking about competing for a guy potentially being your same conference, I think this is someone that you could target. He has a lot of good one cut ability from what I've seen that he's done on tape. And he's just been an explosive running back. And for him to be ranked in that position, I feel like that is someone that you should definitely target, that can complement as a 1-2 punch along with Stephen Blanco. Very similar to what Zylan Perry and Bill Davis were last season. And then the other person that I think they should target, and this may be maybe even more realistic signing, is Amiri Wiggins, who has been at Louisiana Tech for the past 2 seasons, and he's rushed for just under 1,000 yards. I think it was 995 in those 2 years, and had 8 touchdowns. And he's from Acadiana High School. So you're talking about, he only has 1 year of eligibility left. So you're talking about a local kid. Your pitch to him is, come back home, come in and lead this running back room. Let's go win a championship for your hometown team. Plain and simple. Come home, win a championship for your hometown team, go out on a high note. And what he contributed, was around 500 to 600 yards as a running back for the Bulldogs in those 2 seasons. And so if you go and you present that pitch to him and you compliment that, he's a very, very tough runner. Like his days at Acadiana, he was running people over all the time. And then the tape that he has on his Twitter account, if you want to go watch it, it's there on his social account, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. It's there. And he's running dudes over. And he's breaking free for some runs here and there, and getting there and to the red zone and even to the end zone as well. So that's another guy that I think that you should be able to target. I think those are 2 that you hone in on. If you get both of them, cool. If you only get one, then I would think that one of those guys can be able to lead that running back room for you going into the 2026 season, because you're going to need it. You'll have Lunch Winfield coming back. You could potentially have Walker Howard and Daniel Beal coming back as well. I don't know or haven't heard anything of if they have decided to move forward in their career, but with Walker only having 1 year of eligibility, if he wants to have a chance to start at the quarterback position, maybe he comes in and competes for the job one final time. Or maybe he moves on to another program. It is to be seen. Kind of the same thing with Daniel Bill as well, who will be coming into, I believe, what will be his redshirt sophomore season. But Lunch proved that he can orchestrate this offense and gives you a different dynamic with the way that he runs the football and more of the power run scheme with the football. Walker is also a dual threat himself, but it seems like Lunch is not afraid to get in between the tackles at the quarterback position. So we'll see what things pan out to be in that running back room. Looking forward, we don't know what this may look like for the Ragin Cajuns. We don't know if they're going to target another high school guy in this next, opening moment for signing period, because I'm sure there are other high school players that are out there that did not get an offer, that did not sign in December, that could have the opportunity to sign in February. So they may feel that they have what they need on their roster already, and that they'll just add another high school guy along the way. But I do want to get you guys' thoughts. So leave a comment down below and let me know, is what's going on with Louisiana's football program of guys transferring out? Is this a problem for the program individually, or is this just modern college football? I love to interact with you guys and hear your thoughts on what you believe about this. Thank you guys so much once again for tuning in to another episode of Ragin Rundown. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to smash that like button, share the video, leave a comment, and all of those good things as well. And most importantly, be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you are listening, wherever you get your podcast from, please subscribe to the podcast feed so you'll know when we drop an episode here on Ragin Rundown. I'm Jamarcus Fitzpatrick. We'll see you guys next time.